G'day, I'm Bruce, and today we are going to try and salvage this truck from this swampy paddock it's been sitting in for years. You may have seen on an earlier video, I have been here and started this truck before. Earlier on it was like a swamp, it was that wet here, but it has dried out a bit. So today I'm going to see if I can get it going and see if we can get it out of here. You can even see here today, this is where we just drove in before, the old Nissan's leaving pretty big tracks here. The ground's still pretty spewy, so, you know, look at that. Certainly a boggy looking sort of a place, all right. You can see here the rims are down to ground level, so it's pretty well down. So I guess wet country, and over a period of time it's just gone down. One of the other problems we've got here is there could be a few ton of dirt or sand or gravel in the back of this thing. Yeah, there is some dirt in there, all right. Definitely, it's pretty hard to tell how much because there's lantana and it must have been sitting here for a while for lantana to be growing in there. The back wheels are down, but probably not quite as far as the front. The front ones are down even worse, so it's going to take a bit of moving, all right. It's in an area where it's swampy in the front and it's swampy behind, so once we get it running again, we'll have to work out a plan what we're going to do. When we first came here and opened the door, there were two huge spiders there looking at us. So the first thing we did when we came back was with some mortine and sprayed everything out. We found a wasp nest, so we hope the spiders have moved on. No sign of anything crawling around. It'll be the perfect home for the spiders or wasps. The first job will be put some more diesel in it. The last time we were here we put 50 litres in it, but if we're going to shift it and rock it round a bit, we'll put another 20 litres in it to make sure it's got enough in there it's not going to suck air. In any of these situations we like to use clean diesel. We've already put some fuel doctor in with the previous lot of 50 litres, and we like to always, if there's anything suspicious about the oil, if we think there's moisture in the oil in the engine, we'll change the oil too before we try and start them, because we don't like pumping water through all the bearings and whatever in the engine. But the oil in this one looked pretty good. Didn't look to have any signs of moisture in it. By all accounts it looks like it's a pretty good engine. If you don't have enough diesel in there, the moment you start to drive it and the diesel starts surging around in the tank, it's a fairly long tank, and they suck air, well then you've got to start all over again and try and get the air out the system. So it's probably easier just to put more diesel in there to start with. That way you won't have to worry about that sucking air. I think it's on the bottom. Just about empty. We did top it up last time, but we're just going to make sure that it's still got water in its system if we're going to start it or drive it, because who knows, it may have leaked out. No, still full. Oh well, that's a good sign. Last time we were here, all this business to do with tilting the cab was seized up, so it was a major job to get in here and hammer everything WD-40. So we've got it now, so we've got it latched on the bottom part, not the top part. The next step will be to try and tilt the cab, then we're going to put the battery terminals on, the batteries are already in there, and then we're going to hook up this hot wire onto the starter motor and see if it will start again. The last time we were here, we belted things with hammers for over an hour before we could get this lever here to release, which has the top hooks. This other lever down here releases the bottom hook. So I should be able to pull that out now if all goes to plan. And that should release the cab. Next move is to fold the bull bar down so it's out of the way so we can tilt the cab. We've greased all these up last time, so they should come undone nice and easy this time. Put this over there. Can't quite get it. Yep. Right. Should have it. Yep. I better just check the oil. There we are. That would be the full mark there where that notch is. And that would be the minimum mark down there, so should have enough oil to run it. Next up will be rig up this wire. This wire with that little clip is going on the solenoid. I'm just going to zip tie the start button up. This is on a rubber hose here too, so hopefully if it sits there it can't short out. So it's like that, it needs to be out of the way of all the cab mount hooks and whatever assembly, so when we fold the cab back down all this wiring should be still safe, that it's not going to get jammed in anything. Looks like it should be pretty free there. Got this little thing here too, we've got to make sure we don't lose that. We've checked the oil, the water, we've got the battery rigged up on the, we've got the start rigged up on the push button battery, so we'll just give it a touch and see what it's going to do. Righto, it looks like it's going to turn over okay. We'll see if it's going to start. Yep, either way. Righto, we know it's going to run now, so we'll put the cab back down and the bull bar back up, and then we'll work out our next move. Right, it's on the first hook. We'll put the bull bar back up and screw it back up. I wonder how many times this bull bar has been folded down to check things. I think this is a handbrake and it looks like it's pretty well seized. I'll start it back up again, build up some air pressure, and then see if I can get it to move then. we've got this to release, so that should release the handbrake. I'll test the clutch out, see if the clutch is going to work. Well, it started off being seized, but then it came good. Looks like the clutch won't release. It's going to be the next problem. Righto. I've struck this in the past with seized clutches. If the starter motor is strong enough, what I'll do, I'll put it in gear now, and I'll hold the clutch down, and I'll get the cameraman to go around and push the button, and then see if the clutch will release. That's about the only way you can do it that I can think of while it's sitting in this predicament. I'm in gear and I've got the clutch down, and I'm going to get the cameraman to push the start button and see if this clutch will release. Rightio. Just wait a moment, I'll just pump the clutch a bit more. It feels like a hydraulic clutch. Right, the pedal's starting to come up a bit now. I'm working it with my foot, I'm working on just the top part of the stroke. Right, try it now. Just hold on, I'll try and... Rightio. Again. Again. Just hold on, I'll try another stunt. Rightio. We need more fluid now. The story goes, it felt like the master cylinder or the slave cylinder was seized. So then I pushed really hard on the pedal, on the clutch pedal we're talking about, and it let go. I could feel it go soft, and I thought, well, that's a good sign, something's let go. So then I started pumping the pedal, and I thought it might release like that. Of course, the engine's running, so all I could feel it grating all the time. I could feel I couldn't get it into gear because it was grating. So the other trick that will work, not always, but sometimes, stop the machine, put it in gear, pump that clutch up, just keep touching the top of the pedal, just so you're only using about that much of the pedal, so it feels like you've got a full pedal, then push the pedal right to the floor, and then try and turn the motor over while you've got the clutch. You've got it in gear, stick it in a high gear too, don't stick it in low gear, stick it in a high gear, maybe the highest gear you've got, and then just keep hitting the key, clutch pedal's right on the floor, and if there's a chance of it letting go, that's probably about as good as you're going to get to make it let go. This one hasn't let go yet, it's just run out of fluid. So we've got to go and get some more fluid, put in the clutch reservoir and have another try. And this one here for the clutch. With a lot of these clutches, you can cheat a bit too as far as getting the air out of them. Sometimes if you just let the pedal come back, just let it rattle a bit, it's going to make a liar out of me. Now it's starting to go down now if you look at the level there. I guess the reservoir's here and the master cylinder's over here but down below, so it's going to be a bit different to a car or a four-wheel drive. Might be able to squeeze a drop more in. We'll give it a quick start now, and it may be air assisted, so that may make the fluid go down easier. I've had the engine running for a few minutes now, and the fluid's going down, but it's still got air in the system. The only way I could get air out of the system, I think, is just bleed the slave cylinder. It's too low to the ground here and too boggy to actually work on to have a look at doing anything with the clutch here. Obviously the clutch is not releasing. So I might organise to get the moon buggy to come over here and hook that on and see if that can tow this thing around, maybe back over near that shed or somewhere where we're away from the grass and the boggy ground. Hopefully we could find somewhere over there dry enough to have a good look underneath there to see what's going on. The proper place to tow would have been off of here with a big pin, but we can't find the pin in the truck or anything, so we've gone for the next best thing, which is on the end of the spring hanger. And probably the other thing that we probably, if we could get to it, would be wrap it around the front axle. That would probably be even better again, but we can't get to it. Look at that. I'll just run this strap out now. If we can get the buggy hooked on the end of that, we'll see what's going to happen. How close was that? They say with D-shackles, do them up firm, then just back them back a bit. That shouldn't be too bad. My father always said to me, never pull off the top link on any tractor. If you're trying to tow something else, especially something out of a bog or whatever. A lot of the old timers did that, the tractor flipped over. The reason it flipped over is the moment you start pulling up high, you're pulling down on the back of the machine and all of a sudden they get a lot more grip. And if they're in low gear, next thing they can just wind themselves up and flip over. So it's always best to pull down lower. But on this machine we can't, we've got nothing else to hook onto. It is a track machine. The thing weighs about 12 3/4 tonnes, so It's pretty heavy. I'd only got to try and flip back over, and if it does try to rear up, we'll just pull back on the lever a bit. So if you're on a tractor, you should never pull off the top link ever. The windscreen is totally covered in mould, so I've got some citrus type stuff here. I'll spray that on and seems to be soaking it up. It doesn't seem keen on running. The inside's pretty dirty, so I'll do the inside as well. Phew, that's dangerous, that is. It's a lot better than what it was. Not perfect, but we're ready to see if we can tug it out of here. We're going to do an arc around here. We'll probably head back in the opposite direction. So I'll have to have the motor running so I can release the brakes on the truck, and we're just going to see how we go. Whenever you're towing something like this, everybody needs to be well back. There's no one around here and the cameras are all unmanned. The moon buggy has the bin on the back, so if the strap breaks, the bin will act as a guard. very close to getting it. I could feel the front of the truck rising up. The wheels are that far down, just a bit more, and I reckon it would have lifted up out the hole and we would have been away, but unfortunately the strap broke, so that's just what happens. Sure, the handbrake's releasing. We've got the engine running to keep the air pumped up, keep the brakes off, and the handbrake's released, of course. So we thought we might come around at the back and try and pull it backwards. If we can pull it backwards a bit and get it out that way, then we might be able to do an arc around that way and head back towards the shed. We've got this large chain here. We're going to try and hook this on the back. We've got it hooked onto that one. We just got to find somewhere we can hook on the back of the truck and give it another try in reverse. We're hooked up, ready for a second try. This time we're going to try and drag it backwards. It's a safety thing. We've got everything. There's no other people standing around anywhere. We've got our tripod sitting over there well out the way, but we'll never break those chains with this machine, I don't think. Well, the moon buggy got it out that time. No wonder it broke the strap. There's a big hump of dirt there, and you can see here, I could feel it trying to rise up. I could feel it trying to come up out of it, but just the strap wasn't strong enough, I suppose. The buggy was stronger than the strap. Look at these marks here where the moon buggy's been, and if I stand on that, you can see the mark. I'm actually leaving more marks than what the buggy left. A bit firmer up here. But yeah, you can see it's the sort of thing that wants to stay up on top of the ground with those big wide tracks. That's for sure. Look at that. The spew. The moon buggy could still get a really good grip, even though the ground is that boggy. It just broke that strap like a piece of fishing line. Yeah, so that's unbelievable. So it's a really unique machine, all right, when it can do something like that. We're going to E-oar it around now, but the further we get into this paddock, the wetter it's going to get. are. We'll have to try and move it now before the brakes start to come on. We're going to try and start in gear. Well, we went to the scrap bin to see if we could find something that would make up a pin to put through the bull bar to tow the old UD out. We came back, in that short of time must have dried out a little bit, and the cameraman got in, put him up in gear, and he very slowly drove out with the wheel spinning, and he made it. Well, we're going to start it up again. We're going to drive it up the other end near the shed, and then we're going to have a look at the clutch and see what we can see. There it is. Looks like it's a blown clutch hose, so we're never going to be able to get enough pressure to release the clutch to get into gear. Well, the clutch was hard as a rock when I first went to push it down, and then it did go. I could feel it let go, and then for a start it must have only had a minor leak, because I could push it down. It felt like it was hard enough that it should have been releasing, but it wasn't releasing. Then the next thing I could feel it changed again after a big heap of pumps, and it looks like it was running out of fluid. So we've just got it back here and looked in there, and it's one of the hoses has burst. One of the hoses has got a leak in it. Without the clutch working, we don't want to engage or disengage the PTO in case we damage something. Well, for these farmers now, the truck's lined up. They'll be able to back a float in here. It's all lined up ready just to go on a float, and they can work out what they're going to do with it, whether they're going to sell it or cart it off to another property. So that's probably about that for this episode, but I probably won't do any more videos until I have the eye surgery. So I'll probably be out of action for a while, so this will probably be the last video for a while, and I'd like to thank everybody for wishing me well as far as the eye surgery goes. All I can do is front up and you know, try and get fixed up. That'll be about it for this video, so until next time, thanks for watching.